In the mountains of Hanzhong, where clouds clung to cliffs like whispered prayers, there stood an ancient monastery known as Chongwu Temple. Few ventured there, save for pilgrims and those who sought to leave the world behind. Among its quiet residents was a young monk named Jingyuan. He had lived in the temple since he was a child, taken in by the abbot after being found abandoned at the gate one stormy night. Jingyuan was diligent in study and pure of heart, yet he was haunted by dreams. In them, he wandered through ruined halls. A woman in red stood by a stone lantern, her face always turned away, and every time he called out, she would whisper, "You promised." When he woke, the scent of sandalwood would linger, even if no incense had been burned. One morning, the abbot summoned him. "There is a visitor for you," he said. "A visitor?" Jingyuan frowned. "But I have no family." In the guest hall stood a woman cloaked in travel dust. Her face was unfamiliar, but her gaze, wide and sorrowful, struck something deep within him. She bowed. "My name is Li Sui. I believe you knew me once." "I'm sorry," he said. "You must be mistaken." She smiled sadly. "Then allow me to tell you a story." She spoke of a village that once stood near the foot of this mountain nearly 20 years ago, of a young man named Shen Yao, who had promised to return after a pilgrimage. But he never came back. A flood destroyed the path. The village was abandoned, and I waited until I died. Jingyuan's hands trembled. He had never heard that name, and yet his chest ached. That night, he prayed for clarity. He fasted, meditated, and finally dared to speak to the abbot. "Is it possible," he asked, "for one to be reborn and remember nothing?" The abbot looked at him long. "Sometimes the soul forgets out of mercy, but memory is not always kind enough to stay buried." Jingyuan began to unravel. He returned to the spot where he had been found as a child. Beneath the stone lantern was a mark, two faded characters, Shen Yao. His hands traced them with shaking fingers. He remembered a flood, a scream, a promise shouted through rain. "Wait for me. I will come back." Jingyuan wandered through the temple grounds like a ghost in his own life. The chants of morning sutras now sounded like echoes from another world. Li Shui returned each day, sitting silently at the edge of the courtyard. She asked nothing more of him, merely watched. One evening, Jingyuan approached her. "I saw the name, Shen Yao. That was me, wasn't it?" She nodded slowly. "And I was Lin Yue. We were to marry before the monsoon season. You left to seek blessings from the mountain gods, but the path flooded. I waited until the fever took me." He closed his eyes. "I forgot everything." "No," she whispered. "You remembered in dreams. That is why I found you." Tears touched her lashes. "I came not to take you back, but to give you peace. You fulfilled your promise, even if it took another life." The next day, she was gone. No one had seen her leave. No horses, no footprints in the mud. Only a folded scarf remained on the meditation stone. Jingyuan recognized it. It had belonged to Lin Yue in his dreams. That night, he lit incense in the inner chamber and chanted prayers not from the scriptures, but from memory. Words she once said, promises he once made. And for the first time in years, he dreamt not of sorrow, but of reunion. In the dream, she stood by the stone lantern once more. When he called her name, she turned to face him, smiled, and whispered, "You came back." The abbot noticed the change. "You walk with peace now," he said. "I remember who I was," Jingyuan replied. "But who are you now?" "A monk," he said simply. One who has finally fulfilled a promise. And high in the temple halls, where prayers rose like mist, the name Shen Yao was carved beside Jing Yuan on the old guest ledger. 2 lives, 1 soul, finally at rest.